Okay.
Okay. Well, definitely have to see what happens.
Yeah. There's no intro, so we pretty much start wherever we want to. Long story short, basically, the background for this is that we were just gonna talk about movies and see where the conversation went.
Hmm.
Specifically through, I guess, like a framing lens for Now You See Me 1 and 2 and Deadpool 1 and 2. So, um, walk me
Hmm.
through what your thought process was for Now You See Me Part 1, I guess would be a good way to frame it.
Um, so the overall movie for Now You See Me was I rather really enjoyed it from a personal perspective. Obviously, you're gonna have people who, have their own opinion saying like, oh, this could have been done better, that could have been done better, but just taking it, from a step back, where I stand as, going to film school and being a director myself, it was overall a really good job. Um, Kind of continuing on with that, one of the really big things is uh between Now You See Me 1 and Now You See Me 2, it was essentially the same. It was like, set up, big reveal. But if you think about it, like pretty much all magic tricks is set up, set up, set up, big reveal, or set up, big review type of deal. So
Mm-hmm.
overall, I think it went really well.
I would agree on pretty much every front for that. Only thing that I have a kind of a pretty substantial criticism of the movie is just in the framing of the fact that like it's hard to do those kind of movies and make them feel like you're not pretending to be smarter than you actually are, if that makes sense.
Elaborate a little bit on that.
So essentially, you know how, like, I mean, you've watched movies with me. It's kind of a pain in the ass when you be like, they tell you a pretty substantial piece of information, something background wise. One of the characters has a couple minutes to exposit something that's kind of related, but not really related to the actual thing that you're trying to talk about. And the thing that always gets kind of weird with that is you can pretty much use that information to guess, oh, okay, that's what's happening for this. So, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the damn movie that came out in like 2015. I don't even remember when it was released. I could probably look it up, but that's not the point. When they're having a conversation about the guy who did the trick with putting the card in the tree,
Mhm.
um, right out of the gate, I'm like, okay, so that you're his son. That it wasn't. Heist movies are try really hard to be smarter than they actually are with all of the reveals and stuff like that. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, I usually find them very, very entertaining. And I've really found Now You See Me 1 to be very entertaining for those reasons. Because, like you said, it's not. It's the setup, it's the journey of it. Just like they say in the movie, it's a trick, and you're just waiting for somebody to kind of explain to you how the trick was done. That's what made it entertaining, but that's also kind of ironically like my only little criticism of the movie. That and I just fucking hate Jesse Eisenberg.
Really? That's funny because I actually really love Jesse Eisenberg.
That's fair. That's fair. I know a lot of people
Um,
do. I understand why. I just don't. Maybe it's because I talk very similarly to him. It just it annoys me to hear my own voice like that.
Yeah, no, like with Jesse Eisenberg, even if he wasn't in it, I don't think it would probably, depending on who was cast as his role, but I think he did the role really well. But yeah, his performance overall, I'm pretty sure if, like, again, they had someone else, I would still like the movie. Just, I guess, kind of being biased a little bit is that I do like, I really enjoy magic and I love seeing till this day, and I love both sides of it. Like, I know how people are like, oh, a magician reveals a secret, but then there are people like such as my wife who doesn't want to know how the trick is revealed, but I actually do, and it doesn't hinder me in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't take away the magic. I'm be like, oh wow, that's actually really cool. And now if I ever see something performed like it again, will I know how it's done? Maybe. Will I not? No. Just because every single magic trick you see now today is pretty much based upon an original trick somewhere, but someone just taking it and put a little spin on it, you know?
Mm-hmm. If you get a
And
chance to check this out, by the way, Penn and Teller have a series of really good shows about this type of stuff.
Mhm.
I can't remember. I think it's called
Fool me,
Fool
or
Me.
you.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that show out for the exact same reason that you're talking about, because you do get to see some professional magicians who have a whole um, like couple decades worth of experience doing these same types of things, getting involved with some newer people with kind of the caveat of like, okay, go ahead and try to pull one over on us, and it's super fun to see them go through that experience.
No, yeah, I've definitely seen that show. And funny enough, they actually, I believe Jesse Eisenberg was interviewed by somebody, I think Penn and Teller once, just to kind of see if he actually did learn any magic tricks from that. So it was actually pretty funny to watch that. Um, but
The only thing
kind of
that I
going back,
remember from that was an uncomfortable interview that he did with some preppy bitch. I can't remember her name. It's like Rowena or something like that. But she's like, oh, I heard you did magic for you learned magic for the thing, and he made a backhanded comment to her about how she's the carrot top of interviewers. Which, hey, come on, man, people need to be nicer to
uh,
carrot top. Um, but yeah, he he was just super like not having that shit for that interview.
I haven't seen that one.
I gotta send it to you. It's like, well, it's not funny in the sense of like haha funny. It's more like, what the fuck did any of you think this was a good idea for?
But no, yeah, kind of go back to like what you said. Like, I guess that's depending on the person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
given the fact that with me being my background in film and with you being pretty damn smart,
I appreciate
um,
that.
when you watch a movie, yeah, you can pick things up, but not everyone will.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things where, yeah, there was a person that did put the card in the tree. A lot of times people won't. I mean, maybe half of the audience will pick that up as like, oh, well, he's the son, but then other people, the other half is going to think, okay, how does this person play into it, or how does this person know what's their correlation, or is this the some other person type of deal?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that's actually a
so I
lot of
guess,
that's a lot of the fun for the whole. It's like there's other magic movies and things like that, and to be fair, a lot of them are really really good. I think the only two movies that came out roughly around the same time frame as this, as Now You See Me 1 and 2, was The Prestige and The Illusionist. And if I'm being honest with you, like the magic wasn't really the focal point of those particular movies. Kind of like how in this particular case it was. They're like magician Illuminati, which is fucking
mhm.
hilarious to me on a whole nother level. That there's like a secret guild of magicians who do something in the world. To be frank, like maybe it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I genuinely don't remember what the point of the secret magicians guild was supposed to be.
They never really explained it, to be honest.
At least not in the first
That
one.
was something that no, they didn't explain the first one or the second one. It might be something that's going to be let up in the third one, which supposedly is going to be coming out in 2022. So I don't know. The only thing we know that the eye, whatever they call it, is essentially um the only way you can get into it is if you've pretty much been master, a master magician, and you were selected to join. And my guess, it's probably like a safe haven
Mm-hmm.
type of deal, or that's one thing that I kind of going back into it. It is, even though like yeah, it's like a magician Illuminati type of thing. They are
Yeah.
they are doing a good justice, in a way. Like they're exposing fakes, robberies, um, basically just criminals for like stealing monies and stuff like that. But granted, the whole entire first movie was and the second one was all about a freaking 30-year vendetta because of the insurance company wouldn't pay out, for his dad's death.
Yeah, the one guy in particular, that was kind of a whole like, it was an interesting subplot to go through that thing that you trick the guy into funding them for one, and then getting into all the detail. Like, I love the type of movies where every little detail is really important, because then that shows that there was some actual care put into it. Uh, there's another movie that kind of I saw that recently, but we watched it with my family for Mother's Day,
Hmm.
I don't know why, I don't know why we picked it because it wasn't it was clearly a B movie, but it was entertaining because everybody in it was really funny. The male lead was great. I'll have to find out what the movie was and like put a screenshot of the poster or something in this after I finish the editing and whatnot. But um, it was basically the same kind of movie, but it was for hackers and like white hat and black hat hackers kind of thing, or no, gray hat, because white hat hackers are like government. Gray
Yeah.
hat hackers are hackers who are doing kind of illegal stuff to help the cops and the government, and black hat are just the hackers who don't have any type of legal affiliation, and they might not necessarily be doing stuff that's terribly illegal, but they also probably are doing stuff that's very illegal.
Most likely that, yeah, most likely it is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, see, funny enough, like you kind of say it like how they kind of put detail into it. That's actually one thing that kind of makes me a little bit irritated about this movie, about at least in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I also really enjoyed it. In two different points, I guess you could say. They did really well with no loose end. Um,
Yeah.
Pretty much, if you watch like a lot of movie, and I'll kind of dive into that in a second,
Well,
but
any mysteries
um,
really, they're fucking awful at that.
actually, no, not even mystery movies.
Well, I
It
mean,
is
most of the ones
just
that I saw, but that's beside the point. I'm sorry. Continue.
no, like so in the very first one where it kind of does the introduction to like all of like the characters, Jesse Eisenberg, Franco, Woody Harrelson, don't remember the redhead's name.
Amy
Uh,
something. I remember she's married to Borat.
oh yeah, she is. I forgot about that. Um, but yeah,
I know
anyways,
actors don't take their spouse's last names, so I know
yeah,
you.
but
There's a legal reason for that, right? Like their name is essentially an LLC, and even if they get married, that doesn't change her name to Amy Baron Cohen. After that, it's still Amy whatever
um,
because
it depends on like I guess you say the agency and where they're signed with, because some places do end up like I guess you could say trademarking your name to where they own it for an X amount of time and you can't really do anything.
gotta
But
have a pretty
some,
fucking unique name for that, right?
yeah, right. So some people uh do change their last name, like they actually do legally change it on paper, but giving like like any movie credits or contracts or anything, they're going to use like their original.
Well, that's actually kind of a little known fact too. If you have a pseudonym, you can travel under that pseudonym. Like
It it's like I'm trying to think of
Jim Jeffries actually has a whole like 5 to 8 minute routine on the thing about the nightmare of trying to travel with his. I don't think at the time I think they were together, but his he got a model pregnant and he travels under his name Jeffries, but that's not his actual name. Funny enough, his last name is actually Nugent, but it's not spelled the same as Ted Nugent. Anyway,
mm.
um, so
But
his son has his name, and then he never actually got married to the model, so she has her last name, and then the son. Oh wait, no wait, he has to travel under the name Nugent just to fly under the radar, and his son has his stage name, so it's like it's just the whole thing's just fucked up because like okay, so hold on, all three of you just there's like no easy way to prove that you're related. Fantastic way to conduct your travels, but
Mhm. Pretty much. But a prime example, like as much as I hate to kind of bring it up, but
it's
Kim
okay.
Kardashian, uh, when she married Kanye West, her name was actually Kim Kardashian West.
Yeah.
But if you actually look her up, it's just Kim Kardashian.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Um, but anyways, kind of going back to the original thing that we were talking about, where when the first four magicians met at the apartment, literally it just cut to a black screen and it said 1 year later, and then next thing you know, they're performing in Vegas. That's one of the things that I kind of really, really hate in movies. Yes, I understand you're cutting out for time and some of it's irrelevant, but some of it, sometimes I actually do like to want to see what's going on. Like even do a montage of what they were doing, like just performing magic acts and stuff like that. Um,
You got to be careful with that
Whatever
stuff
the case.
too. Because there are movies
Mhm.
that benefit from that, and there's movies that take a huge shit as a result. Like the A Team hugely
Yeah.
benefited from the whole like 8 years later kind of thing. Like they've established a rapport, they've gotten used to each other. You get to see them just kind of chilling out after a successful mission. And then there's
Mm,
movies that could have benefited from that, but they just tried to not do
mm,
it, and it ended up working against them, like Suicide Squad. Like these people have known each
mhm.
other for a collective total of like 16 hours, and you're trying to tell me they formed that strong of an attachment that like Diablo's willing to sacrifice himself to save them because he doesn't want to lose another family.
Yeah,
Kind of,
pretty much, right?
it's kind of that symptom
Yeah.
of you put it in there because you wanted it in there, not because it made sense.
Yeah. And kind of talking about it, like that was one thing I didn't that kind of it really didn't bother me too much, but I didn't like it. They could have done something better with it. And kind of going off of your point, there's actually a new movie I would funny enough when you actually texted me about the zombie horde and everything like that when my power ran out today.
Yeah, I know that's a
Last
bad
night,
joke because if that actually happens when I tell somebody that joke, I'm gonna be like, "Fuck, there better not actually be some zombies." Fortunately, the shotgun's always loaded.
yeah, right. And funny
Jokes.
because last night my wife and I we actually watched the movie. It's called Army of the Dead. It's a new one on Netflix. And
Brother told me about that, but he's like dog shit at explanation. So, what did you think of it?
I rather enjoyed it compared to other zombie movies. I'm not gonna lie.
That is not a high
And
bar. There's like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Shaun of the Dead, which yeah, that fucking counts. I will fight
World
anybody
War
on that
Z.
topic. World War Z, and 28 Days Later. That's
Yeah.
like it for
Um
good zombie movies, in my opinion.
yeah, but then also I'm kind of movies, yes, you are correct. But I'm talking about like coming from the aspect of like also shows as well. Just anything really doing with zombies. I enjoyed it. Um Overall, the reason I enjoyed it so much was that they took a little bit of a different spin on a zombie, or like on the zombies there. And
I don't know if I like it when they do that. I'm still waiting for them to do a classical zombie because I mean, you know how the have you ever?
Mhm.
I know we've talked about it before, but I don't know if you remember because this was like 3 years ago. Maybe no, a lot longer than that because you've been living out of the same state that I've been in for longer than 3 years now, right?
I'm going up on my second year.
Second year. Okay, yeah, I'm just dog shit at timelines then. Um, have you ever actually heard like one of the original zombie myths?
Like what?
So basically, they don't just. It's not like a. There's no virus. There's no like seven plagues of Egypt kind of thing. It's a witch reviving people and essentially expressly commanding them to do that shit. So zombie is just a reanimated carcass. Like ironically, D&D movies do zombies better than or D&D movies. What's that fucking genre of anime where you isekai where you get transported into a new world?
Mhm.
Yeah, those isekai ones where it's like based off of D&D campaigns and stuff like that. Those ones get zombies more accurate to the older mythos than most of the modern ones do, where it's just like flesh hungry corpse.
Yeah, I get you.
So
And
what was their
I think
twist?
so with theirs, hopefully I don't give away too much of the movie for you, but pretty much there was obviously Zero Specimen, who is the original zombie, and they call him Alpha. So I'm not taking away too much, but
Yeah,
pretty
like the
much
the
turns
alpha
out,
patient or the patient zero
yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly. So pretty much, kind of breaking it down is that whoever the alpha bites or infects actually becomes another alpha, where they are actually smart and they listen and they have ability to like move and control themselves in a better way compared to like what you see as a zombie just walking and just slow moving essentially, you know what I mean?
More human,
um
like so they're still human with
no,
thoughts.
no. Actually, that's the weird thing. You gotta you gotta watch it for yourself to kind of think
Uh-huh.
about it. But so whoever the alpha originally bites becomes essentially alpha. But so I'm just gonna call them let's call them betas just to make it easier. Whoever the betas bites, they just become an underling. They're just a regular zombie at that point.
Gotcha.
Really no thoughts, no nothing.
This is like the
And
vampire things. There's a master, and then there's
mhm,
his like first and second borns, and then there's just
mhm.
like ghouls and pets and like like
Yeah.
vampires that didn't turn out quite right.
Yeah, so that's pretty that's a really unique twist that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
From again, for people who watch this, if you watch a whole bunch more zombie movies than I do, and you've seen this before, then okay. But to me, this is the first time I've seen it. Um, but yeah, so pretty much like whoever the alpha was pretty much making a bunch of betas for his like own personal army that is strong, able to move, run really fast, and can pretty much dodge like bullets for the most part. But they're only as fast as they can be. They're not like extremely amazing.
So what was their like
Um,
motivation? Like, or do they just compelled to spread the infection?
pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And the main alpha was actually so smart that, again, I'm just giving you a little tidbit, but he actually made I don't know how he made it or he got it somewhere, but he actually got a mask, a steel mask to wear on his head because he knows that if he gets shot in the head, he's dead. So literally when he was going in a fight, against like humans who had guns, he was wearing the steel mask.
How thick was this mask? Because this is a I own quite a few firearms. I practice with quite a few firearms, at least as much as I could with the price of ammo and whatnot. But
Hmm.
the so actually I kind of covered this in one of my previous podcasts about medieval armories. I'm sorry, armaments. There we go. There's the word.
Hmm.
The main reason we don't really have like really good suits of armor or anything like that, well, the reason why nobody really wears armor anymore combatively is because of firearms. Now, most of the like misconception here is that when you had an armored suit that it was like extraordinarily heavy. It was not.
Hmm.
It was like a lot of the times very thin steel in most places except for a couple like really high pressure points where that's where you wanted it to be thicker. Anyway, before getting too far off onto a tangent here, depending on like how this mask is made and what it's made out of, all that kind of stuff. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't really know. Um, when you're looking at this, do you think you could reasonably assume that the types of firearms that they're using against it, that mask would actually protect the person wearing it from those
Yes.
firearms?
Yeah. Given the fact that this mass was probably about, I'm gonna guess, half an inch thick to maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. I'm gonna guess it's made out of like some sort of it is obviously made of some sort of metal, but maybe steel.
Probably, yeah.
And going up against a handgun, like like a regular 9 millimeter Glock, yes, for sure. Going up against
Okay,
assault
this
rifles.
solid maybe.
I'm sorry.
I said that's a solid
Yeah.
maybe then, because that's usually the thickness of a you call them a pistol target. It's really just a circular piece of steel hanging off of a bar, or you have
Mhm.
these ones that are called like swing targets, where you can shoot one side and it flips it over to the other one. So it's more of like accuracy and speed training.
Yeah.
For pistols, 9 millimeter to like I want to maybe 44 Magnum. It just depends. Um, quarter inch is probably a decent thickness for them. Anything heavier than that three no, probably 44, yeah, not 357. Anything 357 or higher sometimes can just punch straight through those things.
Yeah, and honestly, they were the weapons like the humans had were pretty much just regular 9 millimeter Glocks. There was like no hand cannons like a Desert Eagle or a Magnum revolver or something like that.
It's funny,
They
the Desert Eagle is actually kind of like a shitty gun, like because
Oh, the recoil is so bad.
the recoil is terrible. It's ridiculously heavy. It has a single stack magazine. Like, but when you see one, you're like, I fucking want that. I don't know. It's so stupid. It's it's like a great sword. It's like the modern version of a great sword. When somebody looks at it,
Pretty
they're like,
much.
"This is stupid. I want one."
Yeah, right. And And then the other guns that they had were pretty much a just like assault rifles. Like th- honestly, I can tell you they were all automatics, so I'm gonna guess like maybe M4, M16s,
Yeah,
probably something like that.
funny story because we haven't talked about this before. I don't expect a lot of people to know this anyway. The caliber bullet for those style of rifles are usually very close to the same size as like a 22 caliber. Uh, the funniest part about this is that it's a 22 caliber bullet. Um, kind of, it's a little bit bigger. If I'm being honest with you, I don't remember what the size difference is between the two, but I'll send you a picture of both of them later because I have one in both of those types of bullets just because it's the amount of powder behind it and the aerodynamics of the bullet that actually make it pretty useful. Anyway, please continue.
Oh no, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure given like how thick that thing was, and from what I can remember, I don't think none of them actually shot the Alpha's helmet with a with the assault rifle, just
Mm-hmm.
because by the time they did face the Alpha, and this is again coming into like where this freaking zombie was smart. He
Yeah,
sent all of his minions first.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody out in front, I need some meat shields.
yeah. So pretty much he would know. He knew like like they didn't have a max amount of bullets, so he sent all the freaking minions. So by the time he would face them, they're pretty much just only using just regular handguns.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely those handguns did not penetrate it and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of going back with that movie, like I would suggest watch it. I personally really liked it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can suspend my disbelief long enough for that to make sense because it's that's the part of it that gets kind of like when you see things that are just like physically like okay that's some bullshit. like you you can't put on an old knight helmet and then not expect like even a 22 caliber um just normal dinky ass little 22 um even 22 long rifle will still punch through most types of armor like that. That's one of the reasons why. Have you ever actually seen like the plates that they put inside of the vests that are like the bulletproof vests?
I think so.
Those things are fucking huge. Um, they're like they're usually like the same size as your thumb, like it's quarter inch to half an inch thick. And a lot of the times you have multiple layers in them. Like the higher caliber you intend for this thing to take, it's not designed to deflect the bullet. It's designed to catch it.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
so yeah, some type of ceramics, layered Kevlar, or just in a lot of cases you can kind of. There's a Clint Eastwood movie. I can never remember which one it was. I want to say it's oh my god, he's done it at least two of them, and for some reason I'm blanking on the name of those movies. But he literally just took like the face plate off of a like old wood stove, and it was good. It was
Mhm.
good enough to block the it was good enough to block the bullets that the bad guy was shooting at him. It was pretty funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah.
circling
But
back to Now You See Me. um,
oh, kind of talking about that movie, they did essentially the same thing where like Now You See Me, that had a 1 year later. Army of the Dead, they had pretty much a time lapse of who knows how long because they didn't say anything. It was just literally a fade to black, fade back into what they are doing now. So they didn't do like any time of like, oh, 6 months later, 1 year later, none of that.
you just kind of
So
make
that
your
was
own
kind of,
assumption.
yeah, pretty much. And one of the really big thing that that kind of really irritates me with like with movies and when I talk about loose ends, I'm much more talking about, oh, let's say something's going on in the movie where an explosion happens and they kind of address it for like 2 seconds and then they never bring it back up and never gets addressed at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So, in an easiest way to kind of put it into like another theory is imagine if you had like a piece of rope and from beginning to end, there are certain parts of the strand that is just sticking out of the rope that doesn't lead anywhere, that just kind of ends there. And I'm like, what the hell? It's just
You wrap this
that's
rope
what
in
he.
like a little golden thread, but when somebody actually goes through the process of trying to find out more about it, it just
Mm.
led to nothing. It wasn't even really part of the rope. It was just wrapped around it to tantalize you.
Yeah, and it's just like, again, it's a loose end that just, then what's the point of like even doing that? Like, though a lot of times they'll happen like like maybe a bad cop movie, or not a bad cop, but like in a movie where the bad guy has like henchmen or something,
Mm-hmm.
where they, let's say the main guy sends out his like B squad, go kill the main character, go kill the hero. The hero doesn't kill him and he lets him live, and then he kind of runs away and we never see him again. Like, so what? Um, did he not return back to his boss to like kind of report in? Did he just run back home, take a nap? Like, what the fuck happened?
Well, that
You
was the
know?
part of the movie that got kind of weird to me. Is just like this was a huge, huge exercise just to get two people thrown in jail and ruined and discredited. Like
Two people, one person.
two people, because the Morgan Freeman's character and the millionaire, uh, shit, what's his name? Michael Caine. Michael Caine's
Oh,
character.
oh, well, I don't think he was. I don't think he was thrown in jail in the first one.
No, I don't think he was thrown in jail. He was just discredited.
Yeah, I know in the second one he was for sure arrested and thrown in jail. But
Yeah.
the funny thing, talking about the second one, now you see me too. I don't know how to feel about Daniel Radcliffe as the main villain.
I, I, part of me feels like he got the job because of a meme, and then the other part of me really wishes the meme would have been made into a movie instead. Because they basically like the way the idea went was that Daniel Radcliffe is the villain in this movie, but it's not Daniel Radcliffe playing somebody, it's Daniel Radcliffe playing himself. And then somebody else is like, no, 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 it's Elijah Wood playing Daniel Radcliffe as the villain, and Daniel Radcliffe's in there as something else. Like they lost me by the end of this whole Reddit post, but it was the starting out point of it was just funny that it's just an actor playing himself as the villain in a weird ass heist movie.
Yeah, I feel like after Harry Potter, he couldn't find his role. Like, what is it, Swiss Army Man? That one was weird. I mean, granted, he didn't. That was weird.
Yeah, that
You
was his
know.
artsy phase. They always go through an
Yeah,
artsy phase where they're like, oh, I'm a serious actor. I'm gonna do a thought provoking role. I don't know. I don't know if that was his thought process going into it, but that was like with Vince Vaughn
but
playing Norman Bates.
mm,
Yeah, same idea there. I'm a serious actor. I'm gonna do dramatic roles because that's real acting. And it's like nobody
mhm.
gives a shit. Now, I think I've enjoyed the majority of the stuff that I've seen him in after Harry Potter. I did enjoy him in Now You See Me Too, which
Yeah.
we need to take a second to talk about the title of that movie because
I'm still really irritated that they had a really good chance on like a really good title, but they just completely blew it.
like yeah, you should. Dan Harm. I love Dan Harmon. Before all of this, nobody is allowed to go anywhere nonsense. Um, he he was pretty regularly doing like live shows kind of thing, like conventions and stuff, where he's just in rooms full of people talking about all this shit. He had a podcast, uh, pretty much doing the exact same thing I am, just having your friends on talking about shit. When that movie came out, he was just bitching about it for a long time, and it's one of my favorite little rants that somebody's done, where it's just like, so the second movie's coming out. What are we gonna call it? Now You See Me 2. There was a second half to that phrase. And he
I
bitches about it
know
for like three
that
minutes before he goes, now you don't.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, it irritated me so much that they could have done that. But I completely understand. It could be because the Now You See Me, Now You Don't could be trademark or
See,
copyrighted.
I have mixed feelings about why they would have gone that particular route, because
Hmm.
I'm more inclined to believe that the person who was in charge of that just kind of went, people are stupid. They won't know this is a sequel unless we put the original in it and then add a two. I'm way more inclined to believe that that was the thought process.
You're not wrong, but I mean, you can tell that's a Fast and the Furious and see how they take it.
Yeah. Now, if it was more like the type of thing where, like like you were saying, where it's just like, okay, well, we have the LLC for this one, and then some
Mhm.
other eccentric asshole was just like, haha, well, they came out with the LLC for Now You See Me, so I'm gonna have the LLC for Now You Don't, so they can't make the sequel unless they pay me. So then they
No,
just
no,
made Now
it's
You See Me too.
no. I'm pretty sure like they may have the LLC for like Now You See Me for that movie. I think someone might have the LLC for like Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the full phrase.
Gotcha. So basically, they just didn't want to pay him again.
I don't even think they have to pay him for the full first part.
That kind of raises a good question, isn't it? So uh, well, it's like that thing that I was telling you about. I'm gonna start making my own set of armor here pretty soon, just for like an OC. But I want to add a little like homage to when I really enjoyed the Destiny games, where there's a character in there that has a inscription on their gauntlet that says "the last and surest argument," which is just a reference to, well, if diplomacy fails and I run out of ammo, I can still beat them to death. I just like that phrase because I play the Titan class, and that's kind of their whole gimmick. They just punch stuff to death. Everybody else runs out of ammo in the raids, but not the Titans. Why? Because they just beat shit until they find more bullets.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah,
but
that's like you could it raises an interesting question where if I wanted to use like enough of that phrase that it wasn't technically broaching copyright violation, if I
mhm.
then in the same kind of intellectual property in a sequel or a follow up to it or something like that, if I use the rest of that phrase, does that mean that I would then owe for utilizing the full extent of that intellectual property, even though it's stretched across multiple works?
I'm gonna say yes. I think you just have to pay for what you had used for that one time on how much you make a profit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is my guess.
I would say that would be pretty reasonable. That being said, Now You See Me 2 is a stupid fucking title.
Yeah, but it could also be like, I mean, let's just say, just hypothetically, let's say they do go with Now You See Me, Now You Don't for the sequel. Let's say for the third one, where do they go from there?
That's a good question.
Now You
Hopefully,
See Me,
they
Now You
shouldn't
Don't,
make a third one.
abracadabra. No, yeah, they are making a third one. It's coming out next year.
I don't know what you would call the third one. If no, what I mean is they shouldn't make a third one. I don't. There's
I
only so
actually,
far fucking magician Illuminati can go as an intellectual property.
yeah. Honestly, the way I kind of think about it is depending on how you end it,
Mm-hmm.
is a trilogy seems to always be really good. Now, Lord of the Rings, that ain't just ignore that. Let's not use that one up. But like I think a trilogy is kind of pretty good.
Bro, Lord of the Rings
Comparing
should have
to
been
like
like 5 books. What are you talking about? Should have been like 8 movies.
yeah. But yeah, I think a trilogy for it would be really good instead of just a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes sequels to me not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Well, and then
Like
a
I
lot of
want
the times
more.
you can't really include a lot of the stuff that you wish you could have. Um, Actually, no, that doesn't really work with this one. Like, there's rewrites to the Lord of the Rings that I was going to talk about. I'll do one just as an example. There is a background character in the Lord of the Rings. Do you remember the scene where they're running away from the Nazgul and they're on the horses and um, Arwen
I'm
comes and saves them, and she like fucks up the Nazgul with the river of horses.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I've never seen Lord of the Rings
Okay,
or the
just
Hobbit movies.
bitch, why'd you bring them up? I'm kidding. Uh,
I'm pretty sure whoever's listening to this is like, "Oh, why the fuck you bring it up?"
How the fuck did
I don't know.
you? All right, but no, this still works because if you haven't seen it, that's what happens. They're getting chased by the evil witch knights, and the nice elf lady summons river spirit of horses to fuck them up and send them down the river and give the good guys a chance to get away. Now, in the actual book, he's a side character who is actually a like just amazing badass. You've seen the memes of "You shall not pass." I'm sure somebody showed you
Yes,
the scene of that big fire monster that Gandalf fights.
not the fire monster, but I have seen the "You Shall Not Pass."
Okay, well he's fighting a big fire monster, and it's rather impressive. I would actually have you look it up right now while we're talking about it, because um, the main thing I want to bring up for this is that one that he kills is a weak one of those things. The guy that they got for him to I'm sorry, the guy that was there to save them from the Nazgul while they were just trying to cross that river, he has killed, if I'm remembering correctly, four of those things respectively by himself. Gandalf almost died killing one of the bitch ones. The other guy the other guy single-handedly dispatched four of them. So that's like
Wow.
a person fucking up a tank with his fists.
Wow. That I did not.
Yeah. So that rewrite that was done because you already have a huge cast of people, and you need to take away from this in order to kind of leave the introduced characters in the property as you have them. So, like, it's for the sake of time, and it's for the sake of mm, people that haven't read the books, understanding what's happening in the movie. You don't have that problem with Now You See Me and Now You See Me Too because, as far as I understand, they're not based off a fucking book. There's just some
Hmm.
property some asshole came up with.
Yep. Yeah. But
That was the end of
I
my
don't
rant.
know.
What were you gonna say?
Good question. I do not remember
Shit, I'm sorry, but
what we're talking about.
well, I guess we could take it into the framing and like reference of sequels, like you were saying. The issue with both of the movies collectively here is that you had a sequel, you had a chance to wrap up a lot of loose ends from the previous movie, and instead you just create a whole new litany of problems. I'm going to be honest with you. I still have not seen the end to Now You See Me Too because I cannot get past the fucking part where they're shopping around in China for magic supplies to sneak a card
Well,
in
you definitely should.
to it.
You probably should because it does wrap up everything
Well,
at the very end of that.
it's the bit where
Hmm?
they're flipping the cards around to each other and stuff, and like just
Do you want me to just tell you?
yeah, go for it because it's been out long enough. I should have seen it. It's my fault
Uh-huh.
anyway.
So now you see me too. Pretty much just kind of extends a little. It gives you more background on Lionel Stryker and his son. Pretty much, it literally shows you like the very beginning of the movie. It opens up to the pretty much the moment where his Stryker died inside the safe, right? And then it kind of goes back, and then it goes into like the whole entire movie itself. But going in towards the end, where pretty much where you're kind of missing out. Um, Actually, no, I'm skipping stuff. I can't skip stuff. Sorry. So pretty much, uh, what's his name in the movie? Jesse Eisenberg's main name. I'm just gonna say Jesse Eisenberg. So yeah, Jesse Eisenberg is pretty much contacting the Eye, and he's talking with them to because it's been a year at this point, and he hasn't gotten word from the leader, the detective, on what they're supposed to be doing next, and he's trying now to
I remember
become
that
the
part.
leader of the four.
He's
Yeah.
frustrated because he wanted to like lead the team, and then the guy that's supposed to be their team leader just kind of left him
Mm.
alone. So it's like, okay, you guys are in the club, but you're not really in the club. Is
Yeah.
how it feels. So
Yeah.
he feels like he got fucking cheated, put himself on America's Most Wanted list just to not do anything
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's been a year and he hasn't gotten word on like what's to do next. And so they finally do a new mission, I guess you could say. And this is where it kind of takes off. They're performing a trick because of the guy who's coming out with like a new computer chip or whatever that they're trying to expose him, saying like, "Oh yeah, you no longer have privacy," and that's when Daniel Radcliffe comes in, um,
That joke
kind of
aged
hacks
well.
this. Yeah, right. Hacks the system. They end up having to run, and as they're going down the tube, they get hypnotized to fall asleep, and now they're in China, which is where Daniel Radcliffe is, pretty much at. And Daniel Radcliffe says, "Hey, I need you to steal me this because I was partnered with that guy who you were trying to expose, and he just took the idea from me. I need you to steal it back, pretty much."
That was my
Um,
favorite thing that I did see of it was them fucking with his like enjoyment of how he did the trick or
yeah,
something like that.
that
And then
that
he's
was
just
good.
like,
That was good.
"You're not having fun. I'm having fun." It's like, all right, you scary little
Uh,
British man. Fuck.
right? And then pretty much from that point they needed to get supplies, and that's where they
Shouldn't
ended
talk
up.
shit about him.
It,
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Daniel Radcliffe's taller than me. I'm 5'5".
but yeah, they ended up at the magic shop there in Macau, and Macau is the original magic shop for pretty much all magicians. And so they're shopping for the supplies, and then they go in and they finally steal the card, and that key card where they're flicking it around is because it's super valuable and it's made of metal and it's like hardcore like security system and they have to walk through a metal detector. So they had to figure out some
Yeah,
way to kind of get it out without the guy seeing, without like the guard seeing. So that's
yeah.
why they were throwing that around.
It was
After they get it out.
it was
Hmm.
essentially it's this. It was lined with the same kind of chip that's like in your phone and on your bank card kind of thing, if I remember right.
It's gold. It's like it's gold is the most conductive material, so it's gold.
That also usually doesn't pick up on metal detectors because it's not magnetic.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah, but I don't know. But it's just probably some type of metal detector thing that they were doing. But yeah, they were throwing all that. They finally get it out, and Stryker or the detective, I'm gonna call him the Hulk because it's so funny. And I'll reference why in a second.
yeah, because he's not
Um,
Mark Ruffalo anymore. He's just Hulk, the guy who
yeah,
played the Hulk.
I know. But yeah, so he ends up going into he busts Morgan Freeman out of jail, or
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote busts him out of jail. And Morgan Freeman tells him like, yeah, they're in Macau, you know. And so he's there and he meets up with Jesse Eisenberg, and that's when Jesse Eisenberg kind of threw him out, like kind of threw him under the bus, like you haven't been a leader and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And that's when Daniel Radcliffe shows up and kind of puts out, his spiel about, oh yeah, you've been contacting me this whole entire time. I'm the Eye. Science beats magic again. And pretty much from that point, they ended up having to figure out a way to kind of get everyone free. Jesse Eisenberg gets away, but the detective actually gets caught. And
mm-hmm.
what does Daniel Radcliffe do? They end up taking the original safe that killed the detective's dad, and they go over to a pier. They put him inside of the safe, and that's when the freaking Daniel Radcliffe's quote unquote dad, he's a bastard. He doesn't even know which he slept with. Shows up and turns out they're together, and he's pretty much been kind of paying to like get these guys back. Um,
What?
yeah, I can't remember the freaking the rich guy's the rich old man's name. You know, he shows up and he's the father of Daniel Radcliffe in the movie, quote unquote.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay, okay, that made more sense. Because in my head, for some reason, it was Stryker
oh no
who.
no no no
Okay, no, no, it's uh, uh,
yeah
Michael Caine's character. I can never remember his fucking
yeah
name. Daniel Radcliffe's his son in the movie.
no Michael Caine, yeah, Michael Caine is Daniel Radcliffe's father in the movie, yeah.
Gotcha. So wait, so that whole thing is a joke where he's like, I don't even remember which one of the women I knocked up is your mother.
Yes,
Like that's how
yes,
insignificant you are to me.
pretty much. And he actually says that at the very end. But yeah, he pretty much says that, yeah, Daniel Radcliffe is my son because he's the only one who has the same motives as I do. All of my other kids are just money hungry kids. And so they put the detective inside of the safe, drop him down. The detective was able to escape, and the four horsemen actually rescues him. And they said, well, we have to get him back, and we have to figure out a way. And so they actually go back to that magic shop, and it turns out the people who own that magic shop, like the grandma and the grandson, are magicians as well, and they knew all along the whole entire time.
So
And
they were
so they
members of the
set
real Eye.
correct,
Oh, for
correct.
fuck's sake!
And so they ended up setting up, like, the whole entire plan and everything, and they pretty much made sure that everything went to plan. Obviously, they did a setup, big reveal, and their review in this one I really enjoyed. It was pretty dope. Um, but pretty much they ended up catching um Daniel Radcliffe and his dad go to jail, and they are now a part of the Eye.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan Freeman pretty much kind of released everything, saying like, me and your dad were father, like, or me and your father were best friends, and I swore to kind of keep you safe and protect you, but now that everything's done, it's my time to leave.
What the fuck
So
was?
Morgan,
Hold on, wasn't the whole gimmick in the first movie that his dad risked his life because that guy was like
that's the
criticizing his
point.
magic tricks?
That that was the whole gimmick all along. They were really partners. His dad was the amazing magician, and Morgan Freeman was the critic who like kind of revealed how everything is done. So that it was literally the whole entire, like, that was their plan.
That is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great thing. Like, they're both making money. They're doing everything amazing. Like, they both have their own fans and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know what's terrible is I'm pretty sure whoever wrote that was like, hold on. I'm sure when they were sitting in the editing room and whatnot, or the writers' room talking about everything like that, they said that exact same sentence, and they were just like, "But no, that's not how that shit's gonna play out. It's fucking
I'm
stupid."
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's much more like Morgan Freeman walked in and used his God voice. You changing this shit now.
Make my character a good guy.
Exactly, pretty much, right? So yeah, he ends up yeah, so they're actually in a building, like, called the Eye, and or not the Eye, but like they're in a building where pretty much all of the people are there.
It's in the letter
Um
on top of the Apple building.
pretty much. And they ended up going down these set of stairs that pretty much form an eye, and that's where the movie ends.
Jesus, they are just whores for the symbolism, aren't they?
Yeah, like I said, this one I really enjoyed just because the graphics was really nice, and
Mm-hmm.
the editing and the shooting of it was done really well. The story not too bad overall, but
Other
like I
than
said,
some contrarian bullshit. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, for Now You See Me Too, it definitely ties everything up a lot better than how I explained it.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely not the movie that you would reference for like, here's what's wrong with movies today, kind of thing.
mhm,
Maybe here's what's fucking stupid about the movie industry. But other
mhm.
than that, like now you see me and now you see me too are by far not the worst things that have been produced cinematic
Oh,
wise.
oh no, no, definitely agree.
Way more
But
things to
like I
enjoy
said,
than to shit on.
and they did it really well, and in tying everything back up in the second movie. So if you actually go through and watch everything all together, it ties everything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Hopefully the third one will expand upon it a little bit better and kind of, make people feel like this isn't such a gigantic pile of dog shit, if that makes sense.
Hmm. No, no, definitely. They're probably hopefully they expand it on the eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be fun. Cool, cool. All right. Any rounding off remarks for Now You See Me 1 and 2?
Um, I'm not gonna lie. And people are gonna obviously criticize me for this, but
Maybe.
everyone has
I've
their
only
own
got 13
favorites.
subscribers. You're good.
for now. But you know, if anyone can really hear this, but
Pretty sure Nick's
uh,
two of them.
Now You See Me, it's actually one of my favorite movies. Um, it's
That is
it's
a
not like my
bold
super.
fucking statement.
Mhm. It just because one, it's a movie about magic, and again, I told you I really enjoy magic.
I do too.
Two, it has Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson.
I love
I
Woody
love
Harrelson.
freaking,
I'll give you that.
I love Woody Harrelson, yeah, and I really do like Jesse Eisenberg. He does a phenomenal job at playing a serious character. I can't think of him off the top of my head right now, if him in like comedy roles, but he does really well in like,
30 minutes or
serious
less.
roles.
Even then, he's
Oh
not
yeah,
really
yeah.
funny. It's more the situation that's funny.
Yeah.
And
That is
I'm
true.
I, no, I don't care. I don't fucking like Aziz Ansari's. That little sack of shit has never made me laugh.
Uh,
Like, I hope, and I know he
I
takes
used
that
to, but not
personally.
anymore.
Yeah, and this is before
hmm
I found out how much of a like shithead he is to people like off screen and stuff like that. I just don't find him. I feel about Aziz Ansari is the same way Ice Cube feels about Kevin Hart.
hmm
So there, that I've said what I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah. But no, no, yeah. Like I said, like I really just like Jesse Eisenberg for like his serious roles. He does a phenomenal job at it.
I hope Aziz
But
is the bad guy and Now You See Me 3.
oh God, dude, I would love that.
That'd be great. It's
But at the
really
same
really
time, I
following the
wouldn't
theme.
because he would probably bring down the movie.
Oh yeah, he
He would
definitely
probably
would.
bring down the.
That yeah, that's that's all I've got for that. Man, I just don't like
Yeah.
it. But all right, I think that's a good round off.
But no, yeah, that's kind of like yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Just it is probably one of my top favorite movies. Like I mean, Rush Hour is my top favorite movie. It's probably in a close
It's a
second or
great
third.
movie.
But yeah,
I love
that's
the
my overall
background
thought.
for that movie almost as much as I love like the movie itself. I don't know how much you know about the background for it, but it's like Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker just did not like each other when they first met, and it's because of like contrarian uh, ideals that they both had. Like Jackie Chan, very professional, very like yes sir, ready to go kind of attitude when it comes to his film roles, and then Chris Tucker, which as I understand it, this is a problem with American actors as a whole. Like they get famous and then they're like, I don't fucking need anybody for shit now. So Chris Tucker would always show up late to the rehearsals. He'd show up late to the table readings. He'd just show up late to set, all of that stuff. And so for a good amount of time, and I believe it was for like the first half of filming in the movie, that like little resentment that they had for each other, they kind of carried onto the screen. And I think oddly enough, I think it benefited the roles for the first half of the movie, and then I know
hmm
movies aren't shot that way, but you could see it in some scenes versus other scenes. Eventually, they had a heart to
hmm
heart and worked out their differences. Chris started showing up to set on time, and
hmm
Jackie started like chilling the fuck out a little bit, and that's how that happened. I guess they're still friends today. I'm not
Oh, they
100%
are.
sure about that, but you know,
No, that they definitely are sure. Like they're still friends, but granted, like they don't talk as much as like regularly like you and I. Just due to the fact that Jackie Chan is mostly living in China right now.
yeah,
And obviously Chris Tucker's in the U.S. and Chris Tucker has made the statements multiple times. He is more than willing to make a Rush Hour 4 with Jackie, and that's what
fuck,
we're
I love
hoping.
that.
Yeah. One of the things, it kind of go back to what you said, like being like a freaking diva, Katherine Hagel, whatever her name.
Wait, who?
Katherine Heigl.
Oh, I
You seen the
hate
movie?
her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's supposedly like from given from like multiple sources, she is a pain in the ass to work with.
See, I don't even care about that. I just don't like her screen presence. Like, don't. All right. So, we had talked about this previously before, and how I don't even remember what particular thing you were talking about, but I hope you do get to go into movies someday, man. And if you do, just publicly on this, I guess would be a good place to solidify that. I am happy to do like me as whatever fucking thing that you need me to do. I don't even remember what specific like idea that you had that you wanted to use it for, and I'm sure you want to keep it in your back pocket. But essentially, whatever that particular film idea you had was, if you ever get to make it, I'm all for it because of the exact same reasons I dislike Katherine Heigl. The good thing about her as an actress is that when you need that type of character, that's who the fuck you call for it, despite
Hmm.
her shitty attitude on set.
Yeah, yeah, you are not wrong there. Like a prime example of what you're saying is, I know it's kind of hard to say, is like pretty much like Jim Carrey, Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler. Essentially, like if you need a comedy actor,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Hart, they're mostly going to be pretty much those are going to be the top names that you think of like, comedy actors.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, depending
but
on the role
then
you're trying to do, if
yeah,
you hire Jim Carrey, you are I know a lot of coming from the standpoint of somebody who's trying to write like novels and jokes and stuff because I have a bunch of random bullshit that I want to do outside of this, but and you as well because you don't just want to be a director, you also write screenplays and you have ideas for the films that you want to do. So having to hire somebody and like essentially put have to put Jim Carrey proceeds to do Jim Carrey shit.
mhm,
On one hand, like to the public, that sounds hilarious because that means, okay, Jim Carrey's gonna like make this movie, and everybody knows that, and that's why they're gonna put that in there. A very easy way to look at that as well is to look at it from the standpoint of, I cannot physically have this person on this movie without giving them some amount of creative control. So here's the
mhm.
designated spot where I'm gonna let him fuck around. And if it ends up in the movie, great. It's probably going to be a scene that people talk about anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be like those memorable moments where everyone's like quoting it for pretty much years.
Yeah. Uh, actually, circling back to Aziz Ansari's, that there's a really good example of that in one of the writers for Parks and Rec was talking about an improvised moment that somebody asked him like, what's the funniest thing that was ever on the show, and uh, essentially what was happening was Chris Pratt's character was like, hey, I ran your symptoms through IMDb and it says you have network connectivity errors. And so the guy's like, as a writer, that made me furious, but it was hilarious at the same time. So it's like,
That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna.
and that's what you're gonna get when you put Robin Williams in a movie, when you put Jim Carrey in a movie. You have to expect them to be able to do that kind of thing, just like the exact like Jackie Chan. If you're gonna hire him for a
Mhm.
movie, it's probably going to be an action movie, and you're probably going to need to take out some extra insurance because he's going to insist on doing his own stunts.
Obviously, yeah, most likely, but like what and it's so sad to say this, like he's getting older. He's not doing a lot of stunts anymore. Like a prime example is one of his newest movie, The Foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing a lot of like, martial arts fighting in it.
No,
So it's kind of sad to say that, his um his thing is kind of coming to an end, his stardom's coming to an end.
well, I hope he'll
Um
get to do kind of the same stuff as like shit. I can't even think of an actor who's really able to do that. Because even uh Sir Christopher Lee was still doing action movies well into his like 80s.
yeah. I mean, granted, like Jackie Chan is still fit as hell, like, and I'm pretty sure he can still do it, but because of like, how
He's
many
fit
bones
for
he's
a
broken
guy
in his
in
life.
his 50s. Actually, I don't even remember
60s.
how old he's in. His 60s.
I'm pretty dang sure, dude. Let me look this
Son of
up.
a bitch, I feel old.
He is currently 67.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah, close to
actually.
70.
I'm kind of glad you brought this. Kind of brings us into the Deadpool stuff too, because that's one of those things that also kind of makes me sad and a little bit worried about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool too, because I can't physically picture anybody else taking up the role of Deadpool. Uh,
Hmm.
and most of that is going to be because he did so well as the character. he wasn't perfect as Deadpool. He wasn't the version of Deadpool that everybody wanted him to be. All right, actually, this brings up a really good.
That is the his version of Deadpool is the version everyone needed.
Yes, yes. Now, the funniest. This we've talked about this before. The problem that we're gonna run into a lot of the times with these comic book movies is that a lot of these characters are so old, they've been around for so long, that there's multiple sources where you can draw from for the character. Some of them
Mhm.
have been pretty consistent. Some of them have had runs where the artist was a fucking idiot and messed with the character really hard. So,
Mhm. Just a side note, like talking, like we'll step into that later. Is
uh-huh.
not the comic book, but Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and we'll go into that later. But continue.
Okay, okay. Yes, I think actually that's a pretty fucking good example of Spider-Man cuz um so basically this is the thing that always irks me a little bit is that people might have like one run of the comics that they really really love and they were hoping to get that version of it. So like when I heard there was a Deadpool movie coming out, I have one of the like full runs like the novel of a Deadpool comic. Issue 1. I don't even remember which writer it is and that's probably going to be important for this. But in this one Deadpool's a little bit crazier and he's actually at a certain point he has more than one person inside of his head. So he's got crazy him, normal him, and then there's another one that's like a cosmic entity that's also capable of breaking the fourth wall. So all of that's in there. You didn't see that in the Deadpool movie. You saw a moment, like little moments where he has his like rage fits and stuff. Like my favorite, I think the best example of this is like at the start of it. Oops, shit, knocked my table. At the start of it, he's having a lot of fun. He's being a dork, doing his merc shit. Does the flashbacks to the past and the setup for all this stuff, and then after the fact when he's like rounding it off like there all cut up, thank you so much, yeah, dropping off seltzer and lemon water for the blood, and then wraps his shit up and goes, when your year-long plan ends with the wrong guy being dismembered. That was very Deadpool. Like he, he does both of those things a fucking lot throughout the comics, but
Uh-huh.
you didn't get to see the whole like inner good guy that's in his head trying to steer him in a correct path and kind of stuff. Mostly because that motherfucker didn't exist in the comics that they're drawing from for this story. So you had people who were mad because they didn't see the version of Deadpool that they wanted to see, where he had like split personalities and schizophrenia and shit that was induced by him having more than one being physically infused into him.
Mhm.
But other people who knew like the earlier runs of Deadpool and some of the later runs of Deadpool fucking loved it.
Yeah, and again, we're kind of going back to like we've talked about this before so many times, where when you take a book or even comic and you turn it into a movie, given the fact that, two things. One, if there's like, especially with comics, there's so many different runs, different storylines. And again, we'll talk about it in the Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
you can't please everyone just because you're going to have a certain set of people that are going to love this timeline of Spider, or like, this timeline of that comic, or this timeline B of the comic, or timeline C of the comic.
yeah,
Or given the fact that if it comes to readers, like again, we'll just kind of go into Harry Potter. um People who extremely love Harry Potter and they watch the movie, it's like they completely left out when Ron did this or when Harry didn't do that. And you can't please everyone. Or even if you
or you could
put
go
it
the complete
into,
opposite direction. Like one of my favorite
yeah.
books when I was in middle school. If I don't remember when this movie came out. It's called The Seeker. Um, the book is glorious. It's a fantastic young adult novel about a kid trying to save the world from like fucking evil wizards and shit. A very bad summary here. The movie that came out was fucking atrocious. It's mostly
Hmm.
because it's like that's not right, that's not right, that didn't fucking happen, that's in the second book, what the hell is this shit, he never was able to do that.
Hmm.
It's like you go the exact opposite direction with it, you piss off even more people because it's like it's that subversion of expectations kind of bullshit that Hollywood's
Hmm.
like been infatuated with for the last like 8 years now. Um, when I was in middle school, that was kind of a thing that was just starting, where they were like, "Oh, okay, so we're gonna take these books, turn them into movies because we've had some success with that, and then we're just gonna change a bunch of shit because we want to make it more marketable to everybody." And then everybody gets it, and they're like, "That was mediocre as fuck. I don't know why people like that book." And then all the people who like the book see it, and they're like, "What the fuck was that shit?"
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you can't always please everyone, which
Yeah.
is like the really hard part, you know. So you just kind of have to do what you can
Well, in this,
to try to make it a good movie.
if
In
you
short,
if you ever make a comic book movie, man, I would just don't do this thing, and you'll probably be fine.
oh, you mean don't do the M Night Shyamalan for the Last Airbender?
No, that actually, yeah, that's a pretty good fucking example. But, um, yeah, the movie that doesn't exist because nobody acknowledges that it's real. Um,
Or Dragon Ball Evolution.
yeah, actually, oof, there's only one good thing that we could say about Dragon Ball Evolution, and that is that it was so shit. You guys got Dragon Ball Super, so and GT. If you like GT, I know a lot of people don't like GT, but I
Yeah,
also know
supposedly
there's
GT is not canon.
yeah. So I understand that there's a lot of people that do like GT, and there's even more people who fucking hate it. Which whichever version and whichever camp you're in,
Or
just be happy you got more Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball Evolution sucks so much ass.
the Netflix live version of Death Note.
Oh, son of
God,
a
dude.
bitch! I hate that movie.
Okay, so just kind of going back in, like I just kind of want to hit these real quick.
Yeah,
So Spider-Man. Talking about like you can't always please everyone.
yeah.
So you had the very first Spider-Man series, which is a three-parter, and that was Tobey Maguire as the main character. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Uh
You
huh.
know, the they rebooted Spider-Man and they went over with who's the second Spider-Man? I can't think of his name.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Him. I liked it too. It was good. But I find it so stupid. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna reboot it one more time because they're getting too old. One,
Fuck you.
that's your fucking fault. Yeah,
One.
that's yeah. I mean, that's your fucking fault. Like, why
So you can do Old
are
Man
you
Logan, but you can't have Old Man Spider Man. Okay, whatever, motherfucker.
exactly? It's just like it's like why you're gonna cast someone like older in that route for that, you know, and you're just gonna completely stop the movie and then you're gonna reboot it again. Granted, yes, Tom Holland is awesome and his Spider-Man movies have been great.
I fucking
Um,
the more I see him, the less I like him as Spider Man.
I totally get that, but kind of, yeah, exactly. Like my point, exactly. Like people are gonna, you're gonna have people who like the very first Spider-Man only with Tobey Maguire, or you're gonna only have people who like the Garfield series, or you're gonna only have people who like just the Tom Holland series. You can't always be able to please everyone, and given the fact that they rebooted it three times, that's their fucking fault. They should just relinquish it and just give it to Disney.
Well, and there's a couple things about this. All of these movies suffer from this, and that's a big problem. Um, I'll start from the end and work my way back. Tom Holland is in a uniquely shit position as Spider Man because he is essentially just mini Iron Man. Like he can't get out of it. He's like the student eagerly trying to please the master all the time. So he's not really allowed to be the fun, charismatic,
Oh,
dramatic wall crawler.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
kind of like how you said nobody can like really replace Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about nobody can replace Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's not going to fucking go over very well. And it's going to go over even less well if they keep trying to do the same bullshit that they do with everything
Spider
else.
Man.
Yeah, well, I mean, because like this is also a problem in comic books. Um, they want like all right. If I wanted to make a character that's based off of myself, and I
Hmm.
include my ethnic heritage into that, I'm my mom's white, my dad's Mexican. If I want to include that in there, I don't have a lot of life stories that involve me experiencing some type of racial prejudice outside of like some of my cousins who were assholes and didn't like the fact that my dad had children with a white woman, so they called us little dirty bloods. That's like the only time I've ever really experienced that. The rest of it, most of it in my life, is just having an issue of being paler than what people would assume I should be, and and I usually had more fun with it than I had any kind of pain with it. So like my first day showing up at the job that you and I know each other from, um,
Hmm.
the manager on shift was like, "Who are you covering for?" And I was like, "I'm not. This is my first day here." And "Oh, you're the new guy?" I was like, "I know. I'm pale." And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "It's okay. It happens a lot. I know when you read my name, you expect a little brown kid to show up. That's fine. That's reasonable. If I read Huan Cheng, I'm gonna expect an Asian man to show up. If he shows up and he's black, I have more questions because
Hmm.
that man has a very interesting background that he's black and has an Asian first and last name. So
Hmm.
same kind of shit too. If you're trying to make a character that's based off of you and you want to include your ethnic heritage into that and you make it something unique to the fact that you're Vietnamese and you grew up in America, that it's gonna have some significance to some people who might not have seen connectivity to characters previously because they can't relate to their background, and it's a little easier to relate to that background if you come from a similar place. So that's fine. What I don't like is if if we're doing some shit like I'm making my character, but I'm going to attach him to Batman because Batman's popular and I want my character to be popular, so I'm going to have him take over the mantle of Batman and have this half breed white and Mexican kid take over as Batman and make that a really big part of his character that he's mixed race. It's not going to fucking fly over very well with people because that's not the whole point. Batman's ethnicity has nothing to do with his fucking character. So it's weird that that's a focal point of this guy now. So if you're gonna make a character, make an original one, advertise it, attach him to a pre-existing character. I don't know if you know this. Have you ever read the Sandman comics?
Nope.
All right, so two things happened with this, and it happened in both versions of the thing that I'm referencing here because this is it. This is they're both part of Marvel. So, um, you've seen the show Lucifer, right?
Nope.
Oh, you haven't seen? Okay, well, whatever. There's a show Lucifer based off of a comic book run. Lucifer was originally just in Sandman as kind of like a side character, as the King of Hell, who eventually tricks the Sandman Morpheus into taking over as King of Hell. So what happened from that is Lucifer being a part of the Sandman series, another writer wanted to make a series off of Lucifer. So he was like, "Hey, can I take that character and make my own thing with him?" And Neil Gaiman was basically like, "Yeah, sure. I don't fucking care. Go for it." Now, when Sandman was released, and I have the first comic book releases in novel form too. Um, they attached him to Constantine, who was a previously established character, and it fit in that narrative. So like this is the version of Marvel that Sandman is going to be a part of, and this is the version that Constantine is attached to. So that kind of shit. That's a good way to do that. So if I'm going to introduce um, Captain White Mexico, that's based off of me, I might want to attach him to a character that makes sense for the type of story that I'm trying to tell instead of having that person take over the mantle of a previously established character. That's just going to piss people off. And that's what they keep doing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we're gonna have to see where this goes. Like, is this gonna really be the end of pretty much Spider-Man, like with Tom Holland,
I
or
hope not.
if they're gonna try to do another replacement? But
He's
we're definitely gonna see.
he's got a lot
Um,
of potential because he does a really good awkward Peter Parker. He just hasn't really been given the opportunity outside of deleted scenes to be a good Spider-Man.
yeah, and I think they are trying to give him a little bit more free will into his role because if you watch or if you look at the the title, or not the title, but like the cover, I think it's for like Spider-Man Homecoming, where it shows like, Spider-Man with the headphones and a sweater just kind of chilling back and relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually an off-scene photo. Like he was just literally on set, kind of relaxing, listening to music as they were waiting to set up for the next shot. And somebody took a picture of him
Oh, I heard he
and
fell asleep.
they put in the background and they use it could have been that too. Doesn't matter.
Honestly,
Either
both of
way,
them
like
work.
yeah, both of them work. And like, it's him being him. And then also with the new Spider-Man that just came out, his interaction with Zendaya, or
I hate
is
her
she
as
still in?
Mary Jane.
Yeah, like their reaction, like, is pretty much real, because in real life they were hanging out so much to where that's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, it was very easy for them to slip in the idea of being friends.
Yeah, pretty much, like, or like dating in a way, quote
Well, yeah,
unquote.
but I mean, like, if you get a chance, man, look into it. Mary Jane in the comics, well, most of the comic runs, because there is one where she's kind of like that, like bitchy, like every cop's wife in like in like an '80s and '90s cop movie.
Hmm.
You're working all the time. You're killing yourself for this job, and you don't do anything to support our family. That kind of shit. It's
Hmm.
like I'm trying to stop a gang war. Like I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it home at a reasonable hour, following gangsters around who wake up at 12 and go to sleep at like 2:30 in the goddamn morning. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Yeah, I totally get it.
yeah, there was a comic run where she had that attitude in a couple of little parts here, but for the most part, my understanding of Mary Jane is that she is a wildly supportive and caring, loving, and strong person, especially with Peter being Spider-Man. She very rarely is having a fit with him doing what he does because he's saving people's lives. He has the power to do this shit. And then every now and again, so there's an alternate universe thing where she gets fucking cancer because he has radioactive sperm, and that, that's
What,
one
in
of
the
those
Dickens?
comic runs where you're like, okay, maybe not draw from this one. Other
Yeah.
than that, all of the most of, if not all of the other versions of Mary Jane,
Hmm.
she's a preppy ginger. Like she's just a popular pretty girl at school kind of thing. Very much like Kristen Dunst in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely hear that.
Zendaya,
But
I don't fucking like her as Mary Jane because she's
oh, they needed. I mean, I can see why they casted her. Just given the fact that they had to pick someone younger. And
well young
I
enough to
guess that's
be
what.
alongside Tom Holland. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think she just probably nailed the audition and hit really well.
if that's what they were looking for, they needed somebody else to fucking pick. Because fuck,
I mean, I personally think she did a fine job. But granted, I personally like Zendaya, but
it's not about liking Zendaya or not liking Zendaya. Like I don't like Jesse Eisenberg, but if I'm gonna cast, actually, it's funny. I can't actually no. I had it and then I lost it. I cannot think of a. There is a comic book character that I would cast Jesse Eisenberg as, but it's I can't think of who it is now. I'll send it to you later when I figure it out. But like me liking him has nothing to do with him doing good in the role, but just like trying to cast somebody else as Deadpool. Like you hit the fucking nail on the head with Ryan Reynolds. Now the script just needs to be able to carry that forward. Like
hmm,
Deadpool's kind of a
definitely,
whore. He
yeah,
doesn't really work in monogamy. So
yeah.
yeah.
Which I definitely get. Kind of going back, they pretty much made a perfect choice for like Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, if they ever try to replace him, I don't know who, or I honestly don't think anyone who actually made that Deadpool work.
Yeah. And the only like there's a couple notes that I have, but it's really just because there's a particular version from a particular comic of these characters that I really like. and that's going to be where you're going to run into these types of problems. Like Jonah. Oh God, what's his name? This is going to bug the shit out of me. The guy that played Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson,
I can't remember his name.
the guy from Whiplash, if anybody's curious. Also, voice of one of Aang's children, if I'm not mistaken, in Legend of Korra, which I did not watch because fuck that show. Um, anyways,
Yeah.
I have a whole fucking litany of reasons why I hate that fucking TV series, as opposed to Avatar: The Last Airbender original series. Anyway, him as J. Jonah Jameson was fucking perfect, and it was so it's very much like one of two things can happen with this stuff. Either the actor can do so well in the role that it changes people's perception on what that role should be, or they
Hmm.
can fit into the role so well that nobody else can play it. So, like Nick Fury. Nick
Hmm.
Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, that's not Nick Fury from the comics. But Samuel L. Jackson did so well as Nick Fury that that's
Hmm.
just who people think of as Nick Fury now. I don't even remember what. I think David Hasselhoff played Nick Fury at one point, which was super fucking weird because he looks like comic book Nick Fury, but he doesn't really act like the original comic book Nick Fury.
Hmm. And that's kind of where it comes down to. Like, it depends on who your director is and who the writer is for movies to kind of be good. Going into like the prime example of the Netflix version of Death Note
Mm-hmm.
and the Last Airbender, that was done by M. Night Shyamalan.
Small
Yeah,
tangent.
you.
You know what pisses me off the most about the Netflix Death Note?
Hmm,
There was already a backstory for Death Note that was based
yes.
in America. They could have done that, but no.
Hmm.
They had to take a previously established character from a previously established place where I wouldn't know. See, I know we get into this argument a lot with like the ethnic backgrounds for um, anime characters, which I don't know how we got this like idea mentally that like, oh, if it's based off an anime, all the actors need to be Japanese, which is super fucking weird because a lot of these shows, a lot of the characters are from different ethnic heritages and stuff. So I can't think of a good example of this. We talked about this. Uh, the Attack on Titan movie. So like the live action made in Japan. Completely
Hmm.
understand why everybody that was cast in that movie was Japanese. Like it genuinely, no issues with it. Didn't bother me whatsoever. However, I will hold American cinematics to a higher standard because we have a diverse full of people, and
Hmm.
if you really wanted to stay true to the ethnic heritage, the only person in that movie that should be Japanese is oh, for fuck's sake, I can't believe I just forgot her name. The girl with the scarf who's like ridiculously good at killing titans.
Gonna be honest with you, did not like Attack on Titan, so I haven't seen it.
That's okay. I want to say her name's Misaka, but there's like 3,000 fucking Japanese female characters
Hmm.
in the live action shows and in the animes named Misaka. So that doesn't really fucking narrow that down at all. Anyway, she's the only person in that story whose ethnic heritage is expressly described as being at least part Japanese because her mom was full blooded Japanese. And everyone else in it is some type of like Eastern or Western European heritage. So if you're going to cast all those characters here, you can't cast them all being Japanese. It doesn't make any fucking sense for the context of the movie. Just like it doesn't make sense to cast, like, all right, if I'm basing a movie in Vietnam, I can't make everybody in that movie of a different ethnic heritage than the era at which this movie was based in and the people who are in the movie. So like I can't cast myself as commander. I can't think of any Vietnamese names now. Shit.
Uh,
Toss me one.
you cut out. You cut out there. I didn't hear the full question.
Oh, okay. I can't think of any Vietnamese names now. Like toss me a
My
common
name.
one.
My
Two
name
is a
too.
common. Two is a common Vietnamese name.
Oh, you have no idea.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. It is king, and who doesn't want their little king to grow up,
Hmm.
right? Anyway, yeah. So I can't cast myself as Commander 2 of the Freedom Fighting Militia or some shit like that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But I
Hmm.
can cast myself as a foreign mercenary who's there on request of the rebels or something like that, or on request of the military to be like an evil mercenary to or a good mercenary to help the good guys or to help the bad guys. Just what there's a way to fit that kind of stuff in there so that it isn't completely fucking ridiculous. But they never really seem to hit that mark on the head. They always fuck it up somehow.
Yeah, and pretty much everything you said like is pretty accurate. Like with the last Airbender with M Night Shyamalan, one, it's freaking M Night Shyamalan. He destroys everything he touches for the most part.
Yeah.
Um,
What'd you say? 1 in 5 for his movies being
one in
good.
five, 1 in 4, give or take. Yeah. Um, and he completely destroyed the last Airbender. And his reasoning behind it was that he wanted to make that movie because he saw his kids watching the last Airbender. And he thought it would be like, yeah, I should go ahead and make this. But then when he pitched the idea, whoever the production studio was stupid enough to allow for him to do free reign with the whole story. So that's where they just completely like failed. Like I'm pretty sure they're gonna be regretting like, yeah, we're not gonna let that happen again.
Well, I mean,
Um,
like, taking it from the top, how are you gonna make all of the Fire Nation somehow simultaneously supposed to be referentially based off of the Indian or uh, um, Judeo-Muslim Arabic heritage, like just that collective shade of brown, I guess would be the most fucked up way I could put it. Now that I'm saying it out loud, but anyway, how are you gonna do that? But then have all of their culture and customs still be Japanese?
yeah, and kind of going into Dragon Ball Evolution, exactly the same thing. Like, how are you gonna have like pretty much the main character, a white dude named Goku? Kind of going back to like your whole entire statement about, oh yeah, you have a black guy named Ping Yang or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah,
It's just like, dude, like you completely not butchered just the character, but the whole entire movie itself was just
yeah,
horrid.
right.
And
And
then,
the whole like it was more of like an oddly coincidental thing than at like because in Dragon Ball, like the original series where he's a child and he grows up, um, he's it's based off of the Monkey King, so he's supposed to be the Monkey King, so he's
mhm,
fucking gonna look Chinese. So, and then later on in Dragon Ball Z, you find out he's actually an alien, and there's basically a planet full of people that look like the Monkey King.
mhm.
Just so happens that they look very similar to Chinese people then, because
Yeah, right.
that's kind of the whole like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fuck that up so bad that you make it like, oh yeah, he's a white kid who's who's raised by a man who's vaguely Asian in some sense, which if you were going to cast Goku, you should have cast him as somebody who is vaguely Asian because he's a fucking alien and the alien species that he's from is humanoid and they just so happen to look vaguely Asian. But fuck.
And then you make Piccolo actually look like a damn alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bulma, I can
Uh,
understand Bulma not being Asian. I even though her name
mm,
is fucking Asian. Um,
yeah.
if you it like it, I almost all of the actors that are in that movie I actually really like in pretty much everything else that they've been in. The guy that played Piccolo, I always forget his name, but when he played Spike, fucking
Hmm.
yeah. And all the B movies that I've seen him in, he's the best thing about all of those shitty Sci-Fi Channel B movies that I've seen him in. So,
Hmm.
not to discount that actor at all. And I think he put a lot of effort into being Piccolo for that movie. And I love
Hmm.
when he talks about it how the reason he wanted to play that character was because him and his son bonded over watching Dragon Ball Z. So he's
Hmm.
like, I felt so bad for him because like, oh yeah, I have to be a bad guy in this one. It's okay. I'll fight with the good guys in the second one. It'll be a lot of fun. I am so sorry to that man that he, that he had to fucking do that movie and
Mhm.
have to participate in this complete shit on his on a previously established story that he really loved.
Mhm. And then going into like Death Note, there was already a live action one. It was Japanese made,
It was
and they did a
fucking good.
phenomenal job. Dude, yeah, it was pretty much like, honestly, if you were to kind of take it from literally an anime turned into a live action, they did it.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty much spot on. Now, yeah, again, kind of like the pretty much the biggest issue like I had with the Netflix version is everything that you pretty much described. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
race thing is like, dude, you literally took Light, turned him into a white dude, but kept the same name,
Yeah.
and then you took L and turned him into a black dude. Now, I'm not being racist or anything
See,
when I'm saying this. Like,
I don't even care about L's ethnic background because
yeah.
realistically speaking, that's one of the only because even in the anime and the manga, they're like, I don't know, this guy looks vaguely Western European, but he's really pale. He could also be Japanese. He could also be like it's just he has a confusing heritage and a
Mhm.
confusing look to him. He just looks malnourished, and he just loves to eat sweets, which is like it's a whole gimmick with his character. But
Yeah,
I don't.
and
I would if they would have found a black dude to play L convincingly in the same parameters. I don't think I would have had any problem with that because his character was already established to not really have like a strong ethnic heritage anyway. But the
Mhm.
part where I didn't like is the character assassination for L. L would never do that bullshit of grabbing a gun and hunting down a guy. His whole fucking thing was trying to prove beyond reasonable doubt, beyond a shadow of suspicion, that Light was Kira. And they fucked that
Mhm.
as hard as they could, apparently.
the whole movie, like again, kind of giving up, created like so the director he actually publicly apologized, and it was a shitty apology.
I
I'm
don't
not
fucking
gonna lie.
care. I hope he never gets to make another movie again.
Oh no, he probably is. But literally, he says he was given the script and he just shot it like the way it was written. Dude, if you've
Mm.
seen the anime and you enjoyed it and you liked it, there is no way you could have possibly let that come through,
I can only
like
think
go
of
through.
one scenario. Please tell me if this sounds anything like the interview. I'm assuming this was this from a live interview or is this an article, like a
It was, I think it was a
release
written
statement?
statement. Yeah,
Okay,
I think it was a statement.
so let's put this in a scenario of a live interview. The only explanation I could see him giving for that being the case, because I'm assuming he was like publicly like I'm a fan of this LLC or what's the fucking word for an intellectual whatever let's just call it intellectual property because I can't remember what the acronym is for copywritten material, but anyway,
Yeah, I got
uh, I'm a fan of this. I loved it. I wanted to do it because I loved it, and then I got handed the script. The only thing you can say after that is I'm still really new in the industry, and this was essentially like the thing that I had to do in order to become a professional director, to do this like big budget thing. It might have been my only chance to ever do it. If I would have said no to this, I would have never been in the club. So that's why I did it. That's like the only thing I think I would accept from him at that point. Beyond
you.
that,
Even
you're full of shit.
no, yeah, I don't even accept it, dude. Like even from what he says, like just completely destroyed the whole movie. Personally, so
Probably his
so bad.
career too.
I think so.
I think the only person whose career was undamaged by that movie was was son of a bitch, Willem Dafoe. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you are not wrong.
he did. Ryuk was the only thing in it that I was like, okay, that's pretty close. Everyone else, I'm like, fuck all of you, fuck your faces. I hope y'all burn.
Yeah, yeah. He was pretty close. But what also was so irritating was pretty much 90% of the time he was on screen, he was in shadow.
Yeah.
Except for
So
that
like,
110%, and that was it.
and then just everything about it. Like okay, so you're trying to show me that Light is an intelligent person by showing me that he charges other students to do their homework for them.
Yeah.
Okay, that is that really the best you got?
Yeah, right, dude. Like, granted,
I mean, I know the American education system is not exactly as merit based as the Japanese education system,
yeah, dude. Like,
but
okay, cool. You charge people to do their homework. Cool. What does that mean? You're good at math and you're good at writing papers. But when it comes down to freaking how to infiltrate a whole entire police association and everything like that, and fascinate all this stuff, like,
yeah,
no, like there was no indication that your brain level activity was that freaking smart. Oh, well, a lot of people who are smart, they don't show it. It's like, obviously, you're not one of them.
I would have accepted him playing Warhammer 40k with a bunch of other Warhammer 40k geeks on like after school. Like that I would have accepted way more than I accept this bullshit of him doing other people's homework. And even then,
Yeah,
he's fucking stupid.
yeah,
Everything,
it
everything.
was.
And
Yeah.
the amount of like the whole reason Light Yagami was so compelling in the manga and in the anime, partially because everybody was like playing around with the suspicion that he's actually gay, which that's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
the other reason this character was so interesting was because he had to take time to learn about the limitations and the abilities of this magic bullshit that he had.
Mhm.
And this other guy he didn't do any of that. He was just they just it's like it's the same kind of attitude of like I wanted it to happen, so we put it in there. It's the same kind of thing that it happened in this, so I have to put it in this. The whole thing with him like him killing people in prison by having them like draw pentagrams and then having a heart attack, or writing the letter L on the wall and having a heart attack. Like
Mhm.
at least Light in the manga and in the anime was going into police work. Like that was his plan before any of the shit happened anyway. So it's not unreasonable for his genius level intellect and his closeness to the case make L want him to be part of the Kira task force. That's not unreasonable. But for L to just kind of like look at found footage of all of these people and just kind of go, or I don't even remember how they essentially did the same thing with him killing the FBI guy, but in the live action, right? Drawing a blank.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It was so bad I can't remember it. I only
Okay.
watched it that once. I was taking down so many notes on how bad the movie was, and I screamed at the monitor like, "Who the hell directed this?"
Yeah, I watched it with one of my friends, and the first thing he said was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to rewatch this, dude, because you talked through the whole thing." And I'm like, "Well, it was fucking stupid." He was like, "I would like to agree with you, but I couldn't see, I couldn't hear what was happening." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, man."
Yeah, it was
It's like
bad.
every 48 seconds, I was like, "Fuck you." And I don't want to come
Yeah,
off like the kind of guy who just like hates all of the movies that come out, because I don't. There's like so many movies that I fucking love, and there's like so many. There's a lot of movies that I love that have minor details. There's a few. Have you ever seen the live action Street Fighter with Raul
yes.
Julia? I fucking
Hmm.
love that movie. It is stupid, but I fucking love that movie. It it's fun. Raul Julia is amazing. That's all I have to say about that movie. Everything else in it, Raul Julia and the Russian guy are the best thing about that movie. Everyone else can go fuck themselves. But
Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember it too much, but yeah.
yeah, but it was it was kind of the same vein of thing. Like they wanted to make the Street Fighter the movie, but they were trying to include everybody. They missed one guy out of the entire cast of Street Fighter characters. And the worst part was they were focused more on people who physically kind of look like the characters as much as possible. Like they did not get Chun Li right. There's well, let's be
Yeah,
honest
it's
here.
hard.
It's going to be really hard to find I want to say Chun Li is Chinese.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she's yeah. It's probably going to be a bit difficult to find a
under thighs.
actress who has like fucking legs the size of my torso to play Chun Li. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know there's that doctor. There's like an actual doctor in China who resembles Chun Li, and it's
Mhm.
one of the coolest like set of pictures I've ever seen because it's like Jesus Christ.
There's actually a fitness girl who posted, and yeah, she thighs pretty spot on.
Well, like in Chun Li cosplay.
Yes, she actually wore Chun-Li cosplay, and she looked pretty spot on. I'll have to find it and I can send it to you.
Awesome. But yeah, and then let's circle back around to I want to say this the girlfriend in Death Note was also named Misaka.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, not a far stretch. All right, Japanese girl with blonde hair, not a far stretch. They, this is
Yeah.
kind of a thing in that culture. Everybody in that culture, everybody from that place, they all got black hair. So yeah, they're gonna go through a point in life where they just want to like change something, and it's probably a lot easier just to bleach your hair than it is to grow 7 feet. All right, that's just something that happens. And then I don't see it a lot in because you recommend a lot of like K dramas and Japanese dramas to me,
Dude,
and there's not a lot of
dude,
blonde people in there. So
you're
no
not
shit.
wrong. Yeah. But no, like given like the reason I kind of recommend so many is due to the fact that
Well, they're fucking good.
eh, they're so much better than American TV shows and American dramas and everything like that. And funny enough, there's actually a poll that has showed that more Americans are watching like K dramas and Japanese and Chinese drama over US regular drama shows.
Well, it's just because they're compelling. Like I'll name drop one of the ones that you told Gap Dong, right? I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. Gap Dong,
Uh,
the
I think
serial
so.
killer one.
I think so. We'll just have to go with it because I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that fucking great. It was really fun to watch. Everything about it. It
Mhm.
just everything that went into it. It made it really interesting, and I liked that it felt kind. It if that would have been a better Death Note than the one that we got. just just on principle alone, really. But
Mhm.
it was good because I didn't hear the same kind of shit that I have to hear with American daytime TV. It was a compelling story about a
Mhm.
guy who was investigating a series of murders that his father was essentially fucking under suspicion for. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it was a good story. Are you going to find that kind of stuff all the time? No, because a lot of the times you can't put characters to be that close to the story all the time. But it was very well done and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't get a chance to finish it. I don't remember if it's still on Netflix. I'm pretty sure they pulled it off and I couldn't finish it, but I'll try to find it again. Um, but that raises a really good question about this kind of stuff. It is just American media just not capable of keeping pace with everything that they're trying to do while maintaining the quality at the same time because I've gotten into this argument with my stepdad too because a lot of the movies that he sees nowadays, he's like, I mean, it looked really good. I'm like, that doesn't mean shit anymore. All of the movies now look fantastic. CGI has come a very long way. Super easy to make a movie look great. But how is the fucking story that shit? How did you spend $500 million and that's what you produced? How?
Again, kind of going back to one, the director, whoever directed it, as well as two, the production company, and as well as three, the writer. Um, it starts off with the writer. If the writer tries to be like, I'm gonna take this and make it my own thing, and using the example of, let's say, uh Goku or Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Evolution, M. Night Shyamalan pretty much kind of had control over all aspects of it. He kind of wrote, he didn't write it, I'm pretty sure, but he had controls over that aspect. Is like, I'm gonna make it my own thing. Um, and oh, sorry, not it's not Dragon Ball Evolution. It was the Last Airbender. Yeah. So yeah,
Honestly, he could have directed the other one, and I wouldn't know.
yeah, right. And he pretty much like just like I'm gonna make it my own thing. But let's say if we were to take it out of it, whoever wrote the script or the story writer or whatever, and is like I'm gonna make it my own thing, or this is what I think is good, and then they somehow magically pitch it to a stupid production company who thinks like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing, this is gonna be great. We're gonna get this B-rated, and probably B-rated, um, director to shoot it. It's gonna be a hit. No, it's
No,
all because like you freaking failed and you didn't.
even if you only failed on one aspect of it, like Mortal Kombat. All right, not a great movie. Okay, I mean the original one that was made in the '90s.
Mhm.
Not a great movie. You fucked up a lot of stuff there. Um, even just so far as fucking up the ethnic casting of the characters,
Mhm.
and why would you cast somebody for an action movie that's based off of a like Kumita style fighting tournament, and hire people who can't convincingly portray an ability to fight on camera?
Mhm.
You fucked up at your foundation right there. Same thing's going to be true of a writer who wants to make an intelligent character. You can only make the character as smart as you are.
Yep.
So, or you can get some help, write the thing, and then have somebody you know who's smarter than you, or at least even this is a fun. I always run stuff by my brother, because he's got like a no shit attitude towards a lot of stuff. So if I'm writing something and I'm running it by him, I go like, "Hey, does this sound fucking stupid to you, or does this sound like it would work?" If I run it by him and he says it sounds like it would work, I can
Uh-huh.
trust that that's probably true. But if I run it past him and he goes, "Why didn't you just do this?" I go with that because that's probably a better idea.
Mhm.
Whether or not my brother's smarter than me or not, that's not relevant for the point of conversation. The point of conversation here is that you can't just go with your first idea and call it good, because
Mhm.
that's how you do shit like making a fighting movie with people who don't know how to fight, or making a movie about smart characters and you're a dumbass,
Mhm. Yeah.
or making a romance movie about you being so with a character who's socially inept but still somehow gets all the girls.
Yep.
Looking at you, harem animes.
Okay.
Actually, no, I think that's an unfair criticism of a lot of harem animes, because if you pay attention to the good ones, they don't the females don't fall in love with the main character because
Mhm.
he's a weak piece of shit, and it's a fulfillment fantasy. It's more of a reassurance that they fall in love with him because he's a good person, and he tries,
Mhm.
and he cares. He's a bumbling fucking plebe, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. Or he's just such a badass. There's no middle ground.
No, there's never a middle ground.
Well, like Misfit of Demon King Academy, I think that's a perfect example. The dude is fucking OP, but he's supposed to be OP. So how do you make an OP character into this
More OP.
story? Huh?
How do you make an OP character more
Well,
OP?
how do you make him engaging? Because if you don't make him, if you make a character who's so strong that nothing is a threat to him, how do you make that interesting? I think
Goku.
Misfit of Demon King Academy did a good job with that, because it had nothing to do. His power had nothing to do with his attitude outside of him being confident in his abilities. Everything beyond that, he honored his word, he proved himself, and he took care of the people he promised to take care of, and he took care of the people who meant something to him. So even like he did not have to give a shit about the people he reincarnated to when he was born again into the world, but he still referred to and loved both those people as his father and his mother, and that's charming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Versus Captain Marvel, who's just insufferably fucking powerful and douchey.
yeah. Or Goku.
Yeah, or fucking Goku. It's just I
He is
I'm sorry. Go ahead, because I haven't seen Dragon Ball in too much detail. So
pretty much with him is that yes, Goku is extremely strong, and he is so strong that the only way you can really compensate is just introduce someone stronger.
mhm.
And it's gotten to the point of where they're introducing gods.
Well, they're introducing things that can like what are they up to? Like because you had Kami, and then you had King Yama, and then you had the Kais, and then you had Beerus and shit. What was the angel's name?
Whis.
Whis. Okay,
Hmm.
and then it's gotten so far as to like you had them, and I completely skipped over Boo, who was like the actual Antichrist, if I'm not mistaken, like a
Yeah,
cosmic deity that would destroy the world if left unchecked.
n- no. Boo is strong, but he was still beatable to the extent like Boo
You had to do
can
it
literally
4 fucking
fight.
times, but
Yeah, I mean, like he was able to fight like Beerus. He would get destroyed in it. Like he wouldn't even stand a Beerus.
yeah, doesn't
But
Beerus like destroy galaxies if he sneezes wrong?
he destroys worlds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, to
So
be
as
frank,
it
Vegeta
sits,
when he was introduced could destroy worlds, but
no.
do you mean
Vegeta's
like
didn't have that
realities?
capability. No, no. Vegeta doesn't have the ability to destroy worlds. Frieza was the one that has the ability to destroy.
No, Vegeta could blow up like whole fucking planets.
Nope. He can blow up a moon, but he can't blow.
Oh,
Even his strongest attack, which is
the
literally
Galacton.
his self. No, is actually his self destruct. Um,
I must have missed that
but
part where
obviously
Vegeta uses self destruct.
he actually used it on Boo.
Oh shit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't gotten
he
that
used
far
it
yet.
on. It's from the Boo from the Boo arc,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, as it currently sits, like there, I can't remember the names. Like these, there's a god. He
Uh
is the
huh.
strongest. He is literally like 6. Or he acts the age of 6, and then right underneath him is going to be the angels, which
Mm-hmm.
is like Whis and all them, and then underneath Whis is going to be the gods of destruction.
Yeah.
So as of right now, with this current arc where it just ended, I don't know if they're going to try to introduce like other gods. So obviously there's the god of destruction. There are other gods along with the god of destruction. And obviously, with like the mythology and everything, I don't know if they're going to bring it to that, or they're going to bring it to the point of where they're going to possibly bring Goku up to the level of a new god. Um,
Which
just
even then,
because
like,
as of this,
where the fuck do you go from here? 'Cause this is gonna get to a point where they can't physically live on Earth anymore because
well,
they're just
yeah,
not gonna
that's
be
true.
capable of standing on Earth because
Yeah,
they're too
it's
fucking
just
powerful.
it's just to the point of where like what's the word I'm looking for? Goku actually found his opponent who is pretty much as strong as him, if not possibly stronger
Yeah.
by a little bit. By a little bit when I say this, that isn't a god, and that's on a different universe.
Yeah.
So from there at this point, they might start introducing different universes because that's pretty much what the whole this like Dragon Ball Super, the tournament of power was all about, was pretty much to see who is the strongest of all universe. And granted, obviously you can't have the universe 7, which is what Dragon Ball is about, die.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that final opponent was from Universe 11, who it took Goku his full power and a little bit more along with Frieza to ultimately win. And they didn't win via like, oh, I knocked this dude out. They won because it took both him and Frieza
They had to
to
physically
push him.
destroy him, right?
No, to push him out of the ring. Like even at Goku's at least during that time,
Reference to
he took a
Dragon
lot
Ball
of
tournaments? Because he
what?
win like didn't Goku in Dragon Ball? Didn't he win like three really important fights with ring outs?
Yeah,
That's
he
how he
did
beat
pretty
Chi
much. Yeah.
Chi, Ten
He-
Shinhan,
he-
and Piccolo.
yeah, yeah. He's won a lot of tournaments just via like yeah, just like knocking him out of the ring. But given the fact that let's say if this was like no ring out, there was a chance that Goku could have possibly lost because literally it got to the point of where Goku exerted so much of his power that he collapsed and he had no more
Yeah,
anything left, and it took like a final gust of his power to push the
just like
guy
every other
out.
time.
Yeah, and what was so crazy about it, like this was literally like the last bit of effort that he had because when he was going in for that final push, he was trying to turn Super Saiyan, except for it kept kicking in and off because he was pretty much out of power.
Which
And
version of Super Saiyan?
huh?
Which
The
version of
one,
Super Saiyan?
just Super Saiyan 1.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So that's literally like how much like no power left he had.
Damn.
Um but yeah, so kind of going from here, it's gonna possibly be something along the lines of like he continues to train with Beerus to get stronger, if not continue to train with Whis to try to access um his to access Ultra Instinct like nothing. Or
Yeah.
yeah, don't know that's kind of my guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't know how much more like bullshit powers Akira Toriyama can toss into this because I mean, like, if I'm not mistaken, and I know this is a controversial topic, technically Vegeta is and really always has been stronger than Goku, but Goku has all this like extra horseshit techniques that boost his
Hmm.
power, that give him an extra edge, and that's how he always beats him.
The biggest issue between Goku and Vegeta is, and again, people can disagree with me on this. Vegeta is held back by his pride,
A lot,
and
yeah.
he doesn't train as much as Goku until he is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Goku is pretty much 24/7 constantly training. The only time he's ever really started training like crazy was when pretty much Bears came into the picture, and it was both him and Vegeta continuing to train with Beerus.
Yeah.
Now, kind of going back to what we were saying, like Vegeta, his pride of being like, oh, he is the Prince of all Saiyans is what's holding him back.
Yep.
And the only
All
way
five
that,
of them.
yeah, right. And the only way like, Goku is continuing to like, I guess to say push is because he's not really thinking about his pride. He's much more thinking about his friends and his loved ones is how he was able to keep pushing through um uh his yeah, he was able to keep pushing through like to the next level in the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Technically if you kind of want to look at it, there Vegeta is able to access certain forms a lot easier than Goku.
Yeah.
Like again, this is certain forms, but when it comes to power level in that same form, he technically is a little bit stronger, but I think Goku is just a better fighter overall.
Yeah. And he takes the time to learn from everybody around him. So that's how he
Hmm.
gets things like um, Kamehameha,
Hmm.
Kaioken, uh,
Yeah.
son of a bitch. I'm drawing a blank on some of the other ones.
He only had
Because he
well
doesn't just
his
he doesn't stop at learning Kaioken and then it's just Super Saiyan 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 48 fucking god bullshit.
hmm
If I remember, he
Yeah.
learns like a bunch. That's a. I wish they would kind of focus on that a little bit more if they do continue it. Like have him pick up
Mm.
some new skills because he oh instant transmission like all of his the reason Vegeta's always going to be behind Goku most often than not. Yeah, his pride, but it's also because he doesn't learn from anybody that
Yeah.
isn't Goku.
Yeah.
You made
Pretty
it to
much.
Super Saiyan, I'm gonna be Super Saiyan. You hit Super Saiyan 2, I'm gonna be Super Saiyan 3. That's his whole only fucking metric for improvement.
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like yeah, he doesn't try to push beyond. He just tries to push to be stronger than Goku.
Hmm.
But usually when he tries to push to be stronger than Goku, he only hits the level of Goku. And that's when Goku's already to the neck
Yeah.
stage.
You know what? Actually, you know what? You know what I wish he would use more? Just because I've noticed this does not change any if no matter how strong any of these guys are, they still react to something similar to this in the story the same way. If Vegeta would just fucking learn Solar Flare, he'd just blind people beat the shit out of him. He'd probably be doing a
Uh,
lot better.
well, funny enough, Solar Flare is actually not as useful as it used to be now.
What, people can look directly into suns now?
No, just given the fact that so the two people that know Solar Flare is Krillin and Goku and Tien.
Yeah, I thought it
And
was
and also
Tien's original ability.
yeah, I believe so. And then also Gohan. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Um, in the Tournament of Power, they probably
maybe
used it
Yamcha.
twice, and they are 50%.
Mm.
Krillin used it. Turns out his enemy's blind.
Oh yeah, well, no shit. In that scenario, it's not going to do him any good.
But
But
but then Goku used it as well. It worked, but he didn't use it on the main villain, like not the main villain, but like the main opponent. He used it
mhm.
on a side opponent, and the effects of it was literally 1 second. He was blinded for about a second, and then
Okay. Well, I don't know. They can move really fucking fast. So
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like because of how fast, like these like they can move, Sulfur is not uh that effective anymore.
yeah, or how fast they can recover. That's also going to be a big part of it too.
Yep.
Yeah, that does make sense. Well, so circling back to Deadpool, we'll at least cover Deadpool too because we're getting past the 2 hour mark, and there's not actually a lot in here that I would cut out, so that works out pretty good. Um,
Mhm.
the the coolest thing that I think that they fucked up for Deadpool 2 was that Deadpool in and of himself is supposed to be making fun of all of those Marvel movies. So like
Yeah.
when you had the whole joke about lazy writing and all that kind of stuff, like
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of the whole if you I don't think that they were going for this, but it would have been a useful excuse cuz Deadpool is supposed to talk shit on, make fun of the Marvel comic industry as a whole. So like all of the stuff that they talked about in there, just making fun of the whole thing, talking shit about Negasonic Teenage Warhead being like moody teen stereotype and all that kind of shit. That was a good one. Um,
Hmm.
Everything with Blind Out, like all that kind of stuff. I think they carried it over into the sequel pretty well. That it was at least still fun, but they really missed the whole like they really missed the mark doing the same shit that they do in movies and not making fun of it as much as they could have. Like fridging the girlfriend. You know, what the
Yeah.
fuck? You should have you, I guess him wallowing in his own shit for a while
Hmm.
could have been like making fun of fridging the girlfriend because instead of going straight into action to try to do what he can, he just became abhorrently depressed and was trying everything to kill himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You are correct.
just
Yeah.
to see her for a
That
few
part was
seconds.
and that part was pretty funny. Like it just doesn't work.
And the whole time in the movie, I was desperately hoping that they were just gonna essentially recast Vanessa as Lady Death. Oh my god, that would have been fucking great.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you know this. In the original Infinity Wars, um,
Hmm.
uh, Thanos' motivation for doing this, it's not to save the universe from overpopulation. It's to cause enough death to make Lady Death like him. He is a fucking hard simp for death,
Oh God.
which Lady Death in the comics is a sexy bitch with a skeleton face, and she is
Oh.
just absolutely in love with Deadpool.
Wow,
Yeah.
that I did not know.
Deadpool had regeneration, but the reason he could never die is because Thanos cursed him. So he could never die and be with Lady Death because Thanos wanted to be with Lady Death. And nobody gets to be with his uh what's the
His
opposite of a
lover,
simp? A thought. Yeah,
lover,
nobody gets to be
thought.
with his thought unless it's him.
That I didn't know. Yeah, that I didn't. Wow.
Yeah. It's fucking that motivation's so much better than I was trying to save my world and I wanted them to be culled. Like if I remember right, his world, he's actually a fucking mutation. Um,
Hmm.
there was like two species on his planet. One of them looked a lot more like him. One of them was like god level humanoid looking creatures, and then
Uh-huh.
the big purple fucking beast men kind of things. And he is like a hybrid of both of them, so he's stronger than both of them. And he kind of conquered the planet and subjugated a lot of his own people. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember a lot of the whole story there, but long story short,
Mhm.
he's really just like Mussolini in space, and and yeah, that's the whole gimmick there. So all throughout Deadpool 2, I was just desperately hoping that they were gonna make Vanessa into Lady Death, which would have been fucking great. But they didn't. They just brought her back at the very end
Yeah.
with bullshit time travel.
Yeah, yeah, that I can believe.
Mm-hmm. Now the oh shit, I forget his name. He played Thanos and he played Cable.
Oh fuck. What's his name? Uh,
I'd be so fucking mad about not knowing this. I'm looking it up.
uh. So am I.
Oh, side note, from way back in this cast, Daniel
Josh
Radcliffe
Brolin.
and I are the same height.
Oh damn.
Yeah,
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. Yeah, fantastic actor. Um, Motherfucker aged like wine too. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Because you saw him in
Oh.
Goonies and you're like, hey, that's a good looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
you
see
see
him
him in
now.
his
Damn.
50s and you're like, fuck, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, I liked him as Cable. I think he did a pretty good fucking
I
job
enjoyed him.
as Cable.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. I actually I enjoyed him as Cable as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people didn't, but I mean, it could be just the movie. But overall, I did like him as Cable.
I don't know who, because I mean, like the only other thing that I would say is that like, because that's their first interaction with each other. Cable didn't loosen up until later on in the run, as I remember it. He was a hard ass future super soldier, okay? But you can't hang out with somebody like Spider-Man or somebody like Deadpool and not have a pretty decent sense of humor, cuz like fun
Yeah.
two characters who absolutely love and if I'm understanding it correctly, have a certain level of respect from Captain America, if you can believe it
Hmm.
or not, are Punisher and Deadpool.
Really.
Yeah, they admire him because he's the American Boy Scout, but it's honest. He's not playing a fucking part. That is Captain America. He is the big blue Boy Scout.
He is America's ass.
Yeah, yeah, that too. Actually, there's a pretty good joke in one of the Spider-Man comics where uh, Captain America, Steve Rogers, out of costume, is out for a run, and he picks up a Daily Planet newspaper, and it's showing something about Spider-Man being like a terrorist or something like that, linked to a terrorist organization, and
Uh-huh.
Captain America, Steve Rogers, goes to the Daily Planet to oh wait, no, not the Daily Planet, the Daily Bugle. Man, I fucked that up.
Yeah.
To scold and accost uh, J. Jonah Jameson for
Uh-huh.
being a fucking liar and saying you like basically like you damn well know he was there to help us fight those guys. So you need to print a retraction. He he made him shave his mustache because it looked a little too much like Hitler's mustache.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's funny as fuck, dude. I gotta send you like the comic panel of that if I find it, because he's just the idea that went behind it, that that's Captain America as a person, really, across the majority of the comics, except for the new run where this fucking jackass who's writing it had him go Hail Hydra, and yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Completely doesn't understand the fucking character that he's supposed to be writing for. But yeah,
A lot of times people
Deadpool
just kind of lose.
fucking loves him, and even then, I wouldn't say Captain America makes excuses for Deadpool, but he's never rude to him. He's never like, fuck off, you crazy bastard. I don't remember what it is. I think he reminds him of somebody that he knew from when he served in World War II, but I can't remember what the exact reason is.
Cannot tell you off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. I have to double check that too.
Mm.
I am quite a big fan of Deadpool. In Moon Knight, ironically enough, like
What was that?
Moon Knight. Moon Knight is fucking great, by the way, because a lot of people say like he's Marvel's Batman. No, the fuck he is not. he's 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 Marvel's Batman if Batman flipped his color combo for the exact opposite reason that he wears black, and had schizophrenia, but was also kind of hilarious because Batman's not really funny. Um,
No.
Moon Knight, on the other hand, is hilarious, but he's not dinner party funny. He's more like crazy asshole funny. Um, he's usually really serious, but or he's like very charismatic, but he's got a side to him that's just like comedy gold. In one of the ones where he's just wearing a hood and a suit, he uses his he do you remember the Daredevil movie?
So long ago.
Okay, do you remember how he has those uh sticks that have like a tethered end of them that shoots out with a spring kind of thing?
I want to say yes.
Moon Knight has kind of the same little apparatus that Daredevil does, but he uses it to block a bullet in one of the comics, and he's like wrapping up the cable. Like, why the hell did I do that? These things are like $500 a pop.
Uh,
And then I don't think it's real. I need to double check this because he interacts with he's one of the street heroes in New York, so he interacts with Spider-Man a lot too. And he hucks he's got like batarang kind of things, but they're in the shape of a moon, like no shit. And he hucks a bunch of them at Spider-Man. Spider-Man catches them in his webs, and he goes like, "Do you make these yourself, or do you order them special?" And he goes, "Give me those back. They're mine." He goes, "No, they're not. They were yours, and then you threw them at me. Now they're mine." And he goes, "How
oh,
old are you?" Just
oh God.
because
That is funny.
yeah, he's more of a situational kind of funny. Um,
Mhm.
Crazy motherfucker. I'll send you a couple screenshots from the comic that I have of him. I've only got like two, and I'm working my collection up to being a little bit bigger. But so far, he's one of my favorites for Marvel that I've gotten into. Him, Lucifer, Sandman, and John Constantine, I would have to say, are my favorites.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, that was. Other than that, I really fucking love the Deadpool movie, and both of them. I have the like the special edition
Ooh, no.
of the Deadpool movie, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I definitely I am right there with you. I really enjoyed both of them. Uh, would I watch them again? Definitely. I always watch them again every so often.
Me too.
It's not like it's not like one of the movies we talked about earlier, like Army of the Dead. I liked it. Would I watch it again? No. If would I watch it with someone who's never seen it? Yeah, I'll watch that again. That's pretty much where I kind of rank it. But yeah, Deadpool. But I can't wait for the third one. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I hope they crank that I hope they crank that shit out soon, and I hope they honor the meme of Ryan Reynolds taking over for Stan Lee's cameos.
Uh,
I know they're not
yes
going to, but I
and
hope
no.
they do.
Yes and no. Just because it's Stan Lee, I don't think they can take over for it. But like to put him with it, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that happening. Hmm.
But yeah.
Anyway, any coming up on the 2 hour and 20 minute mark. So, any closing remarks?
Nothing really. This was really awesome. I feel like we talked about so much. If this wasn't recorded and you asked us to recreate this, probably not. We'll probably talk about something else if that ever came to be. This was really fun. I truly liked it.
This was literally the reason why I started doing this was because I I, I always have really long, really fun conversations with the people that are close to me, and I get really sad that I can't relive them. So this was really just a narcissistic exercise for me to have a fun conversation with my friend, and be able to keep it. So
Likewise, agreed, dude. I love our conversations. I missed them when I was living back in the same area as you, but
mm-hmm.
yeah,
You
it
still
was awesome.
okay? You're still there. Cool. um. So and anything you want to plug? Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, any of that?
I don't have anything on Twitter. I don't use it. Twitch, I am slowly working on setting up my station. I just need to buy some extra pieces.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll probably be able to start streaming that or start streaming on Twitch by the end of this year. We'll see.
Okay.
Um,
I'll add it
my
to a later
Instagram,
video then.
yeah, my Instagram right now is the only mostly like my personal one, so I don't really have anything, so I don't want to plug that. So I really don't have anything to plug. If you do have any questions, just feel free to message, Rex Steady here, and he'll relay the message to me, and I could definitely for you.
You literally just look that up, by the way, in any context. RECSTEADY. It'll probably pull up something of mine, or it'll go. Did you mean Rocksteady? And it'll ask you about the like audio equipment or some shit. I can't remember what happens when you actually look up Rexsteady, but yeah. All right. So there's really no outros. I don't care if you like, share, or subscribe. Go fuck yourself. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.